My name is Thomas Vang, and I'm the owner of this place. It's called The Village Recording, and it's been a studio. Before my time, it was called Focus Recording. It's been like the center for a lot of jazz recording, and I've continued with jazz recordings. I would say every year there's a Grammy, probably half of the nominated records are recorded here. I had a pretty good monitoring if I used the big speakers close to the wall. And I later discovered that there was a peak around 60 hertz, which resulted in me not having enough bass drum on the recordings, actually. And then with the near fields, there was a problem with about 120 hertz. It was a little boomy in that area. I had a very good acoustic engineer, and he couldn't find the problem. I was aware of sound correction, but I didn't think, from what I've heard people say and what I'd read, I didn't think it was a proper solution. I mean, I can say it now, I was very happy when I got the Trinnov, because then I felt like I felt very safe. I had to get used to it. It didn't sound the same way it did before. I have the ATCs, and I think they were kind of forward in the mid-range, and that had disappeared a little bit. With the Trinnov on, it's more even in a way. It kind of took a little bit of the edginess of the speakers. I would say I do probably 70–80% tracking and then 25–20% mixing. Being a bass player and hearing, I have a special booth that I try to optimize for bass, and we've measured that, and it's almost completely flat in the lower register below 200 hertz. And there was still a booming on the D string, open D string on many basses, and I was like, is it this room here? And then I realized, no, all basses are boomy on the D string. It's really nice to know that it's not my problem, it's the bass, it's the instrument, you know. And I think that Trinnov has been a major part in finding that out for me. I'm sure that things sound the way they sound. I mean, my mixing has become much better, I think. I'm not doubting what I hear. If I track a recording and it goes somewhere else to be mixed, I think of myself as producing like really fine vegetables for a chef somewhere. And it's really nice to know that there's done the best you can, and there shouldn't be any problems with anything. When I started out mixing, I thought it was very difficult with bass, how much bass you put on things. Because also being a bass player, I of course like the bass loud, but then I told myself, well, you like the bass loud, so you have to turn the bass down. And then most of the problems in a room is the bass levels. After I got the Trinnov, I'm not worried about the bass. You know, if I mix something and there's a lot of bass on it, I'm like, yeah, it's because I want there to be a lot of bass, you know. I'm not so concerned about checking with another, recording I know how much bass is on this recording. I'm not in doubt anymore about how much bass and I guess that goes for the other frequencies as well. Because I feel I'm constantly improving and becoming better, and getting the right equipment is part of that. So I noticed that people are more satisfied and there's less correction than maybe 5–10 years ago. Another thing that's really nice, if people can come and say, I think there's a problem with that, and I can listen here and I can say, no, there's no problem. It must be your room. I can say with certainty that this is like that or like that. Some people are maybe too concerned about the music or too concerned about the sound, and I have to take them in the opposite direction in the studio, and that the Trinnov helps me with that, because I can just say, here in this room, it sounds the way it is, so you can trust what you're hearing.